Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. How are you doing? Listen, it is March the 31st. It is Mr. Bonner here, Michael Bonner, and this is another episode of Conversations Unleashed Rising Together. This is the spring break edition. I leave for spring break on today. It is Sunday. We just wrapped up the Amazing Shake competition, the Global Amazing Shake. Shout out to Gregory Wright, an incredible student who I taught all the way back in fourth grade, and now he's the Amazing Shake champion. Man, I'm proud of you. Everyone, this episode is going to be spicy. It's going to be great. It's going to be transparent. It's going to be vulnerable. I asked you on my Instagram last night, what would you like the topics to be? And you picked some interesting ones. So I've done a good job as an educator compiling all of them together, and we are going to make sure that you leave with something on this Monday morning. So let's get into it. Now, I will say that if you're listening to this on the audio experience, thank you to all of you all that spread it and show it and put it out on Instagram and tag me, y'all. It means everything to me because you know me, I didn't even know I was going to start a podcast. And to those that do not know, we are also on YouTube. If you're listening to it on the audio, cool. But if you want the video experience, it's on YouTube as well. Okay, so it is the spring break edition, and if you ask me, I get the chance to vent. I think I've earned the right to vent. The most votes that on my Instagram, people say they want to hear personal, educational, then financial. So let's get into personal. My Rising Together family. In about 2 months, I'm turning 35 years old. And God has been really good to me because there's moments where I am beside myself because I can't believe where my life is at right now. And I know that it's a portion of faith, but it's also a piece of works because, I mean, the Bible says faith without works is dead. But if we want to be really transparent on this spring break, because I'm taking Mr. Bonner hat off. If you know me, I call myself Q on spring break because, baby, I ain't trying to look. I ain't looking at no grades or nothing. If I'm honest with you, family, sometimes I'm discombobulated. Sometimes I'm questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I operating fully in my purpose? Am I operating as effectively as I should be? And, you know, I say that to you because in 2025, as we saw the start of it with so much going on, there are moments where there's just so much uncertainty going on. And uncertainty brings doubt. It brings fear. It brings anxiety. And I want you to know that I feel it too. I feel it too. Let me put on my social studies hat just for a moment, and I'm going right back to Q because I'm on spring break, right? But let's put on the politics hat really quickly. The new administration in the White House, when any new administration comes in, for those that are uneducated or ignorant to the switching of office or the first 100 days of a president, oftentimes there's a lot of commotion that takes place because they are changing policies. They are striking out and destroying policies from the last administration. And what is happening right now with this current administration is they are trying to figure out how can we make America great and more efficient, bring jobs here. And y'all, the reason, the tactic and the strategy that they're doing that or how they're doing that is by shrinking departments, slashing departments, and introducing tariffs. And why is this important to me? I have to admit, okay, I'm a little geek when it comes to economics and money and things like that. I love that. When you're shrinking down departments and you're introducing tariffs and taxes, it has a profound effect on the economy and the world. And I want to explain that to you because it connects directly to me. The episode we're talking about right now is called, Doubt, Education, and Money. So this is going to be personal, dealing with education. I did not have a blueprint. So everything that you see from this podcast, I edit this podcast and film it and shoot it in audio myself. Besides the last one, everything you see on Instagram with influencer, etc., I figured it out myself. When the Ellen moment first happened, there was a conviction within me because I recognized that those beautiful students that were on that show, they continued their trajectory inside of education, right? We had our moments. They were celebrated. People donated money to them. And for me, my career began to take off more because of the public recognition. So because I am naturally a giver, internally, as a leader, there was always a portion of me that was like, you got to do something for those kids. You have to do something for those kids. I wouldn't have been on the show if they didn't buy in to make the video. You have to do something with the kids. And what has happened is over the past 7 years, you heard my little rant last week or the last episode, is that we've been able to build something. I have established a donors advised fund. There's actually 2 scholarships. There's a Michael Bonner scholarship at Pitt County Schools, Greenville, North Carolina, where I first taught at before I moved to Atlanta. And then I also established my own donors advised fund that I put money inside of. The reason why I'm stating that to you is because this episode is about doubt. When I created that Donors Advised Fund, the goal of it is to make sure that in 2 years, Dexiana and Jawan and Shanila and all of them, Shalia, Kalia, they will have a chance to get a package from Mr. Bonner that will be good for them when they go off to college, when they further their education, from a MacBook Pro to some cool headphones, etc. So that money is currently invested in the stock market. The issue that we have right now is, with the current shift with the tariffs and everything that's going on, is causing a lot of volatility. So the money that I have worked for, my hard-earned money, I'm seeing it fluctuate along with uncertainty in times. And if I'm honest with y'all, it creates some doubt. It creates some fear. And it's something that I'm going to think about throughout this spring break, because I'm trying to figure out how can I address it? What can I do? And I need you to know that the way the economy and everything is going, it's affecting everybody. I've had friends, not just people that you think they should lose their job. I've had friends that work for banks, friends that work for the federal government, people that work for social media companies. People are being laid off. The market is starting to come down. And why is that? Well, this current administration has introduced something called tariffs, and even reciprocal tariffs. And what they're basically doing is they are taxing other countries, because America has the strongest economy. They want us to make sure and want them to know that if you want to be a part of this economy, well, then you must pay your fair share. But the thing about that is, when you start passing tariffs off to different countries and different companies, those particular countries and companies aren't going to pay the extra tariffs themselves. They're going to raise the price of the products they are selling, which means that that price flows over to us, the consumer, which in a way means that inflation will probably begin to rise. And if inflation begins to rise, the federal government would therefore hike interest rates, which means it'll be more expensive for car loans and mortgage loans, and things will probably increase around us. And normally when that happens, the stock market begins to go down, investment portfolios begin to go down. And if you've looked at the stock market this year, the moment that tariffs was even whispered, and every time they are reintroduced, the market tanks. And that creates doubt for me, because I've created a fund to help children. And even the cutting of departments, right? The cutting of the Department of Education, where they're going to leave it to the states, but there are federal dollars that flow to the public schools and the state level. And if you're cutting the departments of those that assign the funds to the schools, that's an issue, because a part of my business, everyone, is a portion I get hired by schools to provide professional development. So now you can sort of begin to see my plight on how the tariffs are causing the economy to go down. The cutting of the departments is affecting my business and personal life. And let me tell you something, y'all, it does create some fear and doubt and uncertainty, because my objective is to help people. And I'm sharing this with you because I think it's important. For some reason, and even for documentation, for 10 years from now, when we look back at this and listen to this episode and it's on YouTube and stuff, for some reason, we have this delusional mindset that you're going to do something great and build something great, and there will never be any type of opposition, or you will never have moments where you're a human or you feel weak. And y'all, sometimes I feel weak. Sometimes I feel disturbed. There's sometimes fear creeps in, but I want to let you know that that's okay. Because as I was thinking about it, the way this economy stuff is going, y'all, listen, I was thinking about, what does this mean for my mission? I don't want them to graduate and I have nothing to send them out into the world with, even though their teacher is now this famous, or there was teacher, then teacher, and when they were in second grade, is this famous educator and businessman now, right? I didn't know what that meant for my mission. So there's moments I'm questioning my mission. What did it mean for my investments? right? If you do not know anything about money, well, let's go this way. Let's talk about investments really quickly and how that's affected me, this uncertainty. Because we talked about with the mission and how what's happening is shifting the economy, but even down to investments, because some of you say you wanted me to talk about money. So let's get into it. In the education system, we were never taught and explained that we were taught this. You're supposed to work hard for your money. In most communities, we do. In most communities, some of us, we were taught to put your money under the bed, put it in a mattress, put it in a savings account. But the reality of it is, everyone, that you shouldn't just work hard for your money. You should therefore, after you have earned your dollar, allow your money to work hard for you. That is something the education system does not tell us. And more importantly, in our family communities, is often not explained. Because we don't recognize that if inflation is at 2%, that means our money is losing value every year just sitting under the mattress. And even inside of your savings account at the bank, because normally they give you 0.25% interest on your savings account. So the only way to make sure that your money is growing and expanding is by investing into assets, the stock market, big crypto, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, real estate, right? Business ventures. But when you create uncertainty in the economy like we're experiencing right now, from the tariffs to layoffs to rising inflation, those investments are impacted. So that's something that's weighing on me. And then y'all, oh my God, I am naturally a person that cares for people. And I had to learn how to protect my heart with that, because I found out that you have to control who has access to that level of care. And immediately as this world is shifting and this thing is changing, I'm thinking about family and friends. I'm thinking about the very people that watch and listen to this podcast, and you're dealing with life issues and nobody even knows that you're fighting through and you're struggling. And when we start talking about layoffs and the loss of money, the loss of income, it creates a level of anxiety. And I'm not trying to diminish what different genders or non-binary people feel, but I know especially for a man, in the societal standpoint of you're supposed to be able to provide and bring value, when that money comes up short, it hits different. And now I'm thinking about all the family members and friends that are maybe struggling to pay bills and all of this uncertainty and doubt. And as I'm going into the spring break, y'all, I leave to just take a little trip tomorrow, just a little day trip somewhere. It is on my mind. This uncertainty that we're facing is on my mind. And the sole purpose of me creating this podcast and this episode right here, number one, was to make sure that you know that, hey, I'm not the only one that feel these emotions. But two, in order to build something, you got to be able to document so people can see. So I'm going to laugh when we look back at this episode a year from now, 5 years from now. But I want you to know what my stance is going to be, because I think as a leader within my family, within my classroom, within my community, I think that you have to give someone a solution. Because one of the things that bothers me the most is I have a disdain. I think as I get older, it really bothers me people who talk about problems but don't ever want to solve it. People who complain about situations but never want to do anything about it. People who always have a problem but never a solution. People who always have a problem for every solution. That bothers me because life is too short and too fragile. So I want to give you just 3 perspectives I'm going to take and try my best to, and I want you to write them down, or as you listen to them, ingrain them in your mind, especially if you are feeling down right now, or you feel doubt or uncertainty like I feel, or even if you're feeling good. Because let me tell you something, December, I felt completely different because things were flowing well, but life happens. So this is the first thing I want you to do. And this is something that I know oftentimes people don't necessarily agree with, but I'm going to say it. When you're dealing with uncertainty and doubt, this is what I would love for you to do. I would love for you, and which I'm doing now, is I'm going to take the moment to feel my emotions. I'm going to take the moment to embrace them. Hey, Bonner, you may be feeling scared. You may be feeling defeated. You may be feeling annoyed. But after that, everyone, I want to make the conscious decision to not worship my feelings. What do I mean by that? We live in this time where people, I feel. And what has happened is we've made idols of feelings. And to every person that's listening to this podcast that is leading and building something and doing something great, we both know you can't rely on your feelings all the time. There are moments where you must get the job done, that you must accomplish the mission, and your feelings are not relevant at that point in time because you're called to something higher. So I do think there is an appropriate space for you to take the time to say, what am I feeling? What is my body? What is my nervous system telling me? But then you have to put yourself in a growth mindset of knowing that I can't worship those feelings though. So right now, y'all, I do fear doubt and uncertainty. I do. Oh my gosh, it's creeping. I see it. The economy, the surveys that are happening, Republicans and Democrats are all saying, hey, whoa, wait a minute now. This is looking a little crazy. We don't know how this is going to look for people. Are we possibly going into a recession? But I can't worship that because if I do, it depletes me. It kills the momentum that I have. It robs me of providing these children value, my family value, and I don't want you to fall into that. Okay? So I want you to understand and explore what you're feeling, but don't get stuck in that. Don't worship them. Understand how you're feeling so you can take action after. The next one is big, okay? Because feelings is one, but I'm a component of y'all. Once you feel what you feel, you got to take action. Life is about action. That's what Ron Clark does. Life is about action, baby. Let's go. If you're going to be here, be here. That's why I love that guy. Once you experience the emotions you feel, you got to develop some type of strategy and then act. A lot of people struggle from analysis paralysis, which means you know what to do. You just won't move. You just won't do. So what I'm going to have to do, y'all, in this season, I'm going to have to adjust my strategy. What do I mean? I told you how they're cutting the Department of Education and the funding and stuff and business this year with contracts and speaking there's a little bit of uncertainty and doubt there. So what I have to do, y'all, I got to start creating new speeches. I got to start grinding. I have to bring more value to the workplace. I have to find more problems and create solutions to those problems so people can see value to bring me in. Right? I got to find a strategy. I have to be more informed. I have to look at the CPI reports. I have to look at the inflation reports. I have to see what's happening in the economy. So therefore, the next point, I can make sound investment decisions. I can know whether to go start buying more assets or take the moment to start stacking more cash. But the reality of it is, after I have felt what I felt about this uncertainty in time in 2025, in the beginning in the first quarter of this year, therefore I must adjust my strategy because that's what it's about. And last but not least, the last one, what I'm doing personally, since y'all want to be personal, I am trusting God and asking him to strengthen me and help me with my unbelief. I'm going to tell you why. Because this life that I'm living, I never planned it. This dream and idea and mission to help kids and be a philanthropist, it was never my intentional goal. If you ask my parents, my intentional goal was to go to the NBA, to make sure my parents had a nice house and get me a beautiful wife and have some beautiful kids and be cooking on the grill and loving on my woman in the morning. And as we make breakfast together and that was my vision. But that's not what's happening because God had a greater purpose for me. So in this time, as I'm seeing everything going on, I'm asking him to help my unbelief. They say, and the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So I'm learning when there is uncertainty and doubt and fear, you have to counter it with something. And honestly, y'all, the moments I feel it, I try to counter it with faith. I try to say, you know what, Bonner, there was uncertainty in times in your life before, but he pulled you through. He was there then. He can be there now. And family, I find myself repeating that to myself constantly. I find myself repeating that to myself in the sense of there may be so much clouds and fog going on and I may be struggling to see through what's ever happening, but this is how I encourage myself. Now, you can make and take something with these three or maybe not, right? But I want you to look at those solutions and see what you can do at least and try to adjust. All of us are dealing with some type of uncertainty, but I want you to adjust. Now, it is spring break for me, so your next episode will be after I get back from spring break. I'm going to take this moment, everyone, to go relax, to go breathe, to go be gentle with myself, to go cater to myself, to love on myself, to be around my loved ones, to feel and be poured into. And I want to thank all of you for pouring into me. You listening to this podcast, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it for you, right? I'm doing it to create value. And thank you just for supporting me. And thank you for filling my cup. A lot of you, when you come to the Ron Clark Academy or you see me at a speech, you'll be like, hey, I'll be listening, right? I'll be listening to your podcast. So you'll give me a hug about something that I've said. And that means everything to me. Because oftentimes you don't know what people are going through. We just see each other online and we like, tap, and comment, or some of us don't even do that at all. Some of us just look at everybody's stories and look at everybody's content and not interact at all. And what happens is we have created a society where people are more comfortable by being viewed and not seen. Meaning that we have become accustomed to just viewing people's lives, but not seeing how they are really doing. So I want to thank all of you that take the moment to see me, that take the moment to see others, that take the moment to try to help us go through and comb through this moment of uncertainty in our economy and in the world. And I want to end this episode by saying, I believe things will get better. I believe things will improve. Hopefully this trade war, reciprocal tariffs don't last too long. Hopefully the departments and people that have been laid off will find work soon. And I'm going to just choose to believe for the better. I always love y'all. I always appreciate y'all. And I pray that the beginning of April is the start of a new change, a new regime, a new turn, a new season for all of us. Take care of yourself and never forget, family, legacy over likes. Peace.